Good morning, it's Judges Jules, and here we have Simon Holden from Holden's Horses. Hello, Si, how are you, mate? It's episode 7, I better just say that.
Hello, Judge. Hello, everyone. What a great way to start the week, the old Judges Jules. Marvellous. Hope you're well, mate.
Brilliant. How did they treat you this weekend? We had an interesting one. Are we going to go straight into what we think, or I think we should talk about the King George, shouldn't we?
Yeah, well, I've got one in the King George. One of my two is in the King George. I think if we go back to Friday night, I've got to say your split stake on the 3 got 1, 2, 3. So that's superb, mate.
Thanks,
we were
mate.
very, very clear to the point where not abusive emails and messages, but certainly you're talking silly. I'll tidy them up. What words we used on the Friday, and I think we've got to say is when we do that weekend preview, it's to try and put a spotlight on what we think of the value plays on the weekend. And you know, we couldn't have been clearer, and it's turned out that we were correct. The front 2 in the market were utter rubbish, and the market was completely upside down in terms of the value.
Yes.
Now, I give the second horse each way. I thought that 10-1 to Carter Tasso on Friday night, I said it was an insult and a spit in the face. So what 16-1 SP is, I've no idea, but we'll come to that. But in general, I think you've got to say, I love the pile driver, but I thought it was a step too far for him. I'm really pleased with Willie Muir. PJ McDonald was brilliant. He has been underrated. People are saying it. People are talking about this race for the ones that flopped instead of praising the front 2.
Yeah.
Which means there's a chance the front 2 will be underrated next time. Pile driver is now an absolute monster, and he's proven at World Championship level.
Yeah. I mean, if you actually look at it, I mean, the first 2 were the proven Group 1 horses at the 1.5 miles, really, weren't they? They were the guaranteed stayers, and they've also both won at that level. So how they went off at those prices, it was just mad. Whereas even like Broome, I thought I've got Broome down as a good Group 2 horse, and I couldn't understand the money for that, really. You know, it was weird. It's like the only one I don't fancy out the outside, and it did drift in the end. But you think, well, you'd start questioning yourself, don't you? Think, well, what am I looking at here? This has got to be wrong. The only thing I did wrong, I didn't do any combinations on the old forecast. I mean, £200 forecast, wasn't it?
Well, as you know, I did a dual. I had a really good each way bet on Takata Tasso, so that was good. And then I did a dual forecast Takata Tasso Mishri. Not the worst bet I've ever done. I didn't cop. I mean, you said about the front 2. The front 3 had the form in the book. Well, 2nd and 3rd, you know, had won world championship races, the Saudi race, the Dubai race, the Arc, you know, and they went off a bigger price. In some ways, 10 times the price of Westover, who won what we've got to say now was an Irish Donkey Derby.
Yeah, well, you have at the minute. It hasn't done a lot for the form, Ryan, has it? Really, crikey. And I know you want to talk a little bit more about the second. I'm going to have to say the German horse we're going to call him.
Yeah, I mean, I make him the reason I want to mention this is, and I'll explain why. I've just said earlier that I think that the way this will go is that people will obsess about Westover, about Emily Upjohn. I mean, God knows what's going to happen with that now, and about Mishriff at the start. Now, they're all fair, but what we're trying to do is put people on value. And, you know, we've got the Arc coming up, and I think that we said on Friday that I thought the price was an insult for this race, but I think what this horse has done, Takata Tasso, he has run an amazing Arc trial here because he will come on for this. He ran a great race. He is going to prefer softer ground. I thought was going to get into it a furlong and a half out, but Pile Driver really, really toughed it out.
Yes. Pile Driver needed to stay, didn't he? Because if he didn't, he would have been picked up.
It would have been picked up. Takata Tasso has finished 8 lengths in front of Mishriff. Now, Mishriff missed a start. He has done that a few times.
He doesn't stay a mile and a half in a thoroughly tested race, does he?
Well, if Yeah, if he'd got out, it would have been interesting because he's
Yeah.
given them 6.
That was my concern. Funny enough, it was my concern beforehand. Certainly didn't see. I didn't see the front. The first two going off as hard as that. Did you before the race? I thought, what?
No, I didn't.
No. So it did make it a test of stamina, which suited the stayers.
I think when you're on an outsider, and Broome was an outsider, you can see why a jockey would try something and play an angle.
Yes.
But what the hell, Westover? I mean, I said to you on Saturday that Rob Hornby got jocked off Westover. I mean, God knows what he thought watching Colin Keane on that, because he has given that an absolute horror ride. Broome, I can understand it.
Yeah,
I think Ryan was.
Yeah.
You're on an outsider.
The thing that sort of like always sort of, well, say makes me chuckle. They jocked Hornby off because he was going to the Curragh where Colin Keane's ridden loads of winners, which they were properly proven right to do. But what they didn't do was actually consider how many winners Colin Keane's ridden round Ascot, which is still at 0, I believe. And I'm guessing Hornby's ridden winners there. It's like horses for courses, isn't it? Jockeyed for jurisdictions. If you're going to stick with that, it was a poor ride, wasn't it? I mean. Yeah.
I mean, going back to
we all do poor tips, so we got to hold your hands up sometimes.
Good jockeys give bad rides. I'm not saying he's not a good jockey.
Absolutely, we're not saying that, are we?
I just think what Rob Hornby must have thought watching that. But Takata Tasso for me has run a massive art trial. I actually haven't got the art betting in front of me. It's not on my system for some strange reason. It was there yesterday. I don't know whether they're updating things.
Okay.
But I suspect. We know that the Arc has multiple winners. We know that horses that win it often run very well. I think he's a great each-way player to defend his crown. It isn't a great year for middle distance 3, and it's not a vintage time for middle distance horses. And I think you're going to get a bigger price than you should do. And I think it'd be double figures still. And I make him a decent bet to retain his Arc crown on the form of that. I really do.
Definitely, you'll be disappointed as well, even if it be their good ground out there. It's got to have some cut in it, surely, come that time of the year. And I mean, it's going to bring the horse into its own. And you also consider he beat last year, beat all the good horses. We did talk about that on Friday. He beat all the right horses that come second, third, and fourth. Didn't Adia, Hurricane Lane, the Filly, the Tarnawa. He beat all the good ones. He didn't. They weren't like all tailed off, weren't they? Really.
He beat that's a crop of 3-year-olds, I think.
Yeah, I thought we were getting carried. I must be honest. At the time, I did think the Oaks was a good one, and the Derby was questionable. Now we talked about that the other night. I think it's the other way round. I do think Desert. Whether we see Desert Crown again, and the way the Derby was ridden, I do think Desert Crown could be top. Obviously won the Derby, but 10 Furlongs looked it tripped, didn't it? It showed so much speed to lead in the Derby at round about 2 pole. I thought 10 would be perfect. It's a shame. I would like to see that again one more time, if we could, but it's just the way it I'm just seeing if I can get the Arc price. Oh, here we go. I've got the Arc prices up. It's still 9-1 in places, Torquato Tar, so I think that's a great price.
A fantastic each-way price, and he's only going to come in.
Yeah.
I'd take that. I'd take that all day.
Well, I got Desert Crown at 5. I mean, that's presuming that's right. I'm only looking at the. I got Desert Crown at 5s. I mean, it's got to be at least sort of again. It's running again, isn't it? It's not going to come. It's not going to go straight to the Arc, is it?
So you can back a proven winner of the Arc in form, likely to get his ground at 9s nearly twice. A Derby that has been slightly discredited already, and a horse that's injured. And I've got a suspicion we may have seen the last of Desert Crown.
I think that seems more than fair to me, mate. That's more than fair. Yeah, that's a good shout, mate. Lovely start to the show. Right, I better have a little look. We did have some runners from Judges' Jules running on Saturday, and we have actually had 4, and I did tick 2 of them up on the Judges' verdict. I think one of them run quite well. I'm a bit disappointed with the run of the other horse. I will have a couple more that coming this weekend, something we're going to be doing regularly. And look, it wasn't a great start, but I think we'll do all right afterwards. If you followed my selections, like I say, King George would have done all right. Interestingly, the other 2, if you've been following them throughout, the other 2 were Tomaso, who ran an excellent race in that stage race at York on Saturday, came 3rd at 18-1, and the winner won by half the track. It's one of them old boys that come back to form, and that really is a well-handicapped horse now. but he did beat all the horses he got beat by, that Danny California and all of that. So he did actually uphold the form. So I was quite pleased with myself there. I do think there's a win in that horse, so keep that one in your tracker. And the other one was Leodis Dream, 16 to 1, got beaten the jumpers jump jockeys race, and the winning jockey struck his horse too many times. So how was your luck? So it, touched the nearlies. So all good. That was 16 to 1 as well. So a couple of big prize places this week. So anyway, my first selection, I think you'd have to be Mr. Magoo to miss it, was actually in the sprint, the 240, which I tipped up Music Society. I do think Music Society ran a good race, to be honest. The first 5 home in that race came basically in the first 5 throughout the race. And if you actually have a look at the race, the winner was won by Gale Force Mayo, who was just behind the pace, but Hyper Focus and all of those horses were going out front. And the horse that really took me on, I mean, you have to miss it after 2 furlongs. Silver Samurai was about 10 lengths behind the second last horse. Under virtually a hand ride, he's come 7th. I just think a stiffer track, on a straight course, obviously, which you'll get in a sprint, stiffer track. This horse has got a big handicap in him, and one of these big handicaps come the end of the season, something like the Air Gold Cup, if it could get in. I'll be surprised if this doesn't pick up another big handicap come the day. The other horse to take from the race, which I literally was a toss-up. I thought Nationwide ran an interesting race as well. But for me, Silver Samurai, I spit it out in it, Silver Samurai in the 240 at York on Saturday.
Yeah, if you watch that race again, which I'm sure you have, obviously he's dwelled, but not just that. After he dwelled, I thought the horse looked incredibly uncomfortable for the first couple of furlongs.
Yeah.
And then he's absolutely, once Curtis has given him a couple of cracks, he's absolutely flew, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And like you say, if he'd got out on terms, your obvious thing is to say that if he'd got out with him, he'd have won. But the way he sort of struggled through the early stages of the race, I'm not so sure. But you're right. I mean, that was over 6. If you take him to somewhere like Pontefract,
your Ascot, one of them big, they still have, you want something that go too fast and it comes through beating horses.
You want a big field that you can pick them up.
Yeah, I wouldn't back it for like a 5-horse race when they dilly-dally around, because I don't think that's
you need a big field, stiff track, and I'm just trying to think of big sprints. I mean, at the Doncaster Ledger meeting, you've got, I doubt he'd get in a Portland, but you've got other big field handicaps there. Big galloping.
There'll probably be another race back here, but I'm just wondering, like, York.
There'll be other York races.
Yeah. I mean, if they go hard, it really does. I mean, Illusionist is a horse that seems to pick them up quite late there, isn't it? That's run 2 races. I mean, even the Adventurers, funny enough, won the right race last year when they went too hard. And like Music Society ran a good race, because he did come down and he come there. I thought it was bound to frame go inside the final third, but it used too much petrol up between the 2 and the 1 pole. I think that's a race where will throw other winners up, but probably not the ones that come in the first 4. You need to look further down the field, and that's where you'll find your next time out winners in that race. So that's that race come on, and I think we've got to move on to a race that we both agree on, don't we? My second selection, I can't believe we've agreed on one out of all of the runners, because I thought this was even slightly left field. I thought I've spotted one here. I'll let you introduce it.
Thank you, mate. And well, we had our trading room service on Friday, and hadn't given any bets last week because a variety of races off and just very, very poor quality racing. So that comes out to play. Friday night, International Girl 12s into 7s did the business at York. And we were like, obviously, we've got bookmaker contacts, not just yourself, George, of course. We've got other people entwined in the industry. And I was really excited about this on Saturday. The horse is in the 520 at Ascot's Corazon. And, we got the word Friday night. I mean, I love this George Bowie yard. Obviously, Buick on is never a bad thing, you wouldn't think. And I knew they were going to have a right wallop on this. I thought, hey, we could go 2 in 2 here after the 5 one on Friday. Now, the horse has finished 5th, but to say that doesn't tell the full story is the understatement of the flat season. Now, I understand Buick holding him up, because I think they did go quick here. And you've got to be finishing at Ascot. You really have to finish. Until you go there and go down to 2 and 3 pole, you really don't realise this is a stiff track. People constantly misunderstand this track. Not clear run. Well, as we talked earlier,
clear run.
The phrase I hate that they say on ITV, I'm just singling ITV out particularly, they always say, if the jockey could have the ride again. Stop saying it. They don't get the ride again. It's done. You're allowed to criticize. If you praise good rides, you're allowed to slag bad ones off, not abusively. Now, so I'm going to say, oh, Buick had the ride again, because he's not going to have the ride again. He had a wide open space to go into. Now, it may well be
slightly wide open space, yes.
Half of Berkshire,
yeah, that's right.
It may well be that that's unfair. It might well be that George Bowie told him that he needs to come through horses. So we'll give the great man the benefit of the doubt there. But the fact is that first block cost him a couple of lengths of momentum. He then tried to switch. Well, he had to switch again because he was behind a wall there. And it looked like there was a gap that closed on him. I mean, the official comments late on are limited response when in the clear. Well, that's utter rubbish. Buick accepted it after the second block off and basically coasted home. And as he was coasting home, he was making ground still on the front.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Now, this has got a ton in hand of the handicapper. And I suspect they will come back to Ascot or Sandown because he likes a stiff 5. And I mean, you know, I've just said the cliche of if he had the ride again. So I'll chuck another cliche at you. This horse, capital letters, is a winner waiting to happen.
Yeah, because the other thing I have is 2 things. Well, 2 or 3 things if you like. She's rated 101 at the minute, and I think the handicapper's got to drop her a pound to show she's going to get into 0 to 100 straight away. So she's going to be pulled out that perfect sort of rating, if you like, to get into a race like that. I do think she's going to want to pace again because once again, I don't want to run her in a sort of 5-horse race where they're not going to. There's going to be no pace. But I like you. I do think this tracksuit. The amount of horses that come from behind that win at Ascot. I mean, Jamie Spencer. I know everyone slags him off. He does ride the straight course very well. He gave Bless him a very good ride again. But he's the one place I do like to back, especially if you want a horse for a place spot there. He seems to always be round and round about there. This horse got blocked off. Like if you watch the race again, the winner of the race, Call Me Ginger, was level with her. Sorry, they were level together. And as he went for the gap, Call Me Ginger had a gap, carried on going through. She got blocked off. Then he went to switch, went for the gap again, weren't there again, and then like you say, so he actually got blocked off twice, and then he coasted through into bid. He got pushed along. Would definitely have been involved. Definitely would have been involved. I think they were ever Call Me Ginger, bearing in mind that won it, finished. I think Corazon would have been right alongside. And that was a good race as well, wasn't it? I mean, that was a good 5 furlong race. The right horses, if you like, were further behind as well. You had your Bond Chairmans, because obviously Corazon on her first run this year finished well behind Bond Chairman and Mountain Peak. So obviously needed that first run. I think she could even step up again for the fact that was only her second run of the season. So for me, there's definitely some more improvement on the run. And bear in mind, she could have won as well. We do like this one side, don't we? So you've got to put this one in your notebook. Corazon. And
she's 3 and got improvement in her.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, she won a Group 3 last year. For me, she's definitely a Group filly. Whether yeah, definitely. I'll put it this way: she hasn't not trained on from what I'm looking at.
No.
So right. So we've covered. That's 2 of the. Well, you've got 2, but in fact we've agreed on one. It's not bad sometimes. I always like to do my funny one as sort of my last tip. It's actually been quite fruititious. We have Ventura Express as a funny one, and even Tomaso was a funny one, a little bit left field from the other week. I've got one that ran at Sandown in the week, Wednesday evening. I've had this also on my radar because she's now slipped to the same handicap mark she's won off. And if you've watched her last few runs, Cherry Cola is the horse. I don't say I want to drink, mate, because it's nearly always an alcoholic one that I'm after, not a Cherry Cola.
What time was the race, Judge?
There we go. It was I think it was 8:40. It's in the last race on Wednesday evening. She came third to Sovereign Duke, third of 5. Once again, she keeps running these small field races. This all she's back, like I say, back on a mile. She wants a 1.6 at least, although she has run well at 1.5 miles. I wouldn't back her under 1.5 miles. Because she's a stayer. You're looking for 12 to 14, even 2 miles. I think she'll get. She's won over 1.6 miles, like I say. But you watch the last 3 runs. That she pulled really hard all the way through, and the front end, the favourite, was having an easy time of it on the lead. She travelled like the best horse, but she kept changing her legs and everything inside the final 2 furlongs. And I once again, I think that was a knockout run. Her previous run at Nottingham, well, I don't know what went on there. She seemed to, well, basically got further. She came down the middle of the track. I don't know what went on there. But even the previous run at Brighton, I know it's only Brighton form, whatever, but the winner's gone on to win again since Psyche. Which, if you look at that run, she, bless her, she's £7 claimers. I don't know how many rides she had, but she let this horse get first run. She was finishing like an express train over 1.5 miles under a hand ride. And then the previous run at Nottingham was the one I mean, Alpine Stroll got given like a 10-length head start. She's finishing like a bullet and coming second. I say a bullet, it's a bit harsh in a 2-mile race. She's staying on well. And Alpine Stroll's gone on to win again since. So the fact she's been running against horses that have been winning again afterwards, and she's been close to them, tells me that she's ready to pop up soon. So keep an eye on one of these. It won't be a great handicap. It'll probably be a midweek race. She's rated 66, like I say. She's probably be a 0 to 70, 0 to 75. Preferably over 1.75 miles. I expect her to pop up soon for Sheena West. So Cherry Cola. So there's not an alcoholic insight for me there, mate.
Yeah, a bit early, isn't it? We're recording before 10 a.m.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
At least wait till 10:30.
Yeah, absolutely.
And of course, this horse is owned by Sheena West as well. Now, I like horses that are owned by the trainer because they're desperate for him to win.
Yeah.
Because they want to flog them or they want the money. So, that's never a bad theory. Look for he owns quite a few of his, and they do quite well.
Yeah, it's funny that, isn't it? Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah. No, she's just a funny one. I thought there's definitely a race in her. So, have you got anything else that you'd like to say? Before I cut you off at the pass.
I'll be at Goodwood on Wednesday and Thursday. So if anybody's there, do come over and say hi. Look out on my channel this afternoon for a Goodwood preview and a very special offer. Brilliant. But yeah, I'm looking forward to your judges' verdicts.
Yes, as soon as we hang up on this, I've done the Tuesday card, so I have got one. Unfortunately, the price has already gone, but I have got one for Tuesday, which I'm going to put up on here. And I've also will be looking, because I'm guessing we'll have the Stewards Cup ourselves, won't we? We'll be doing that on Saturday, won't we?
If you've got a weekend verdict in the Stewards, you can have it, mate.
All right, mate. I'll have a look just to keep it on there, keep me on my toes. There'll definitely be a couple for the weekend, but I shall definitely try to do some more videos this week, because if you're ever going to do one, what a meeting! Glorious, beautiful place, isn't it?
Oh, it's great, and we've got Goodwood for the afternoon.
Well, if you're really stuck for a bet, you can have one in Ireland.
HFC Ireland going to have big lookies. Is there any reason to leave the house this week? Well, there is, because I'm off to Goodwood.
That's right. Yeah,
it's one of the great weeks punting, isn't it?
Definitely. I mean, I love the place, but the amount of unlucky losers. Let's hope we can get one that gets the clear run. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I always say you've got to go for prices at Goodwood.
Absolutely.
It is not a course to have your
conkers on the short one. That's right.
Please, if you take one thing from us this morning, it really is not. It's a brilliant race course.
Yeah.
The track can be very unfair and very cruel.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna say I'm gonna have one slam dunk favourite bet, I would advise doing it elsewhere. If you want big prices, Goodwood is for you.
Absolutely, which suits us a little bit, mate, doesn't it?
Very much so.
Right, so we're going to quickly just go through because I forgot to do that last week. My 3 for Judges' Duels are Silver Samurai, Corazon, and Cherry Cola. And yours are?
Corazon.
Yeah.
So, winner waiting to happen.
Yeah.
Cliche. And Takata Tasso. Now sets 9 to 1. As soon as we finish, I'm going to get the shovel out of the shed. Get some more on. 9 to 1 for the Arc.
You've heard it here first. All the best, mate. Be lucky.
Thank you. Have a great week, everybody.